Hi everyone, I am Dr. Baby Shalini, Associate Professor, Department of ECE, Rohini College of Engineering and Technology. So in this video, we are going to see about transistor biasing methods. So biasing method is used for maintaining a constant Q point for safely operating a MOSFET or BJT transistor. The following are the most commonly used types of transistor biasing in BJTs. They are fixed bias circuit, collector to base bias circuit, and voltage divider bias circuit, which is also called as self bias circuit. This figure shows the fixed bias circuit. This is said to be fixed bias since we are connecting a feedback resistance RB from the base to the supply voltage VCC. And this circuit is actually a simple circuit, but its stability is very poor. When we are calculating the stability of the circuit, we will obtain S is equal to 1 plus beta. So since the value of beta is very larger, we will have S value as much larger, but for safer stability, we should have smaller values of S. So this circuit is not practically used and it is a less stable circuit. Now let us look into the advantages and disadvantages of this circuit. So the advantages of this circuit are it is a simple circuit. The operating point can be fixed anywhere in the active region of the characteristics by simply changing the value of RB. And the biasing conditions are set easily. No loading effect as no loading resistance is present at base emitter junction. Due to the simplicity, fixed bias circuits are very cost effective. But still we are having some disadvantages of fixed bias circuit. They are, first one is its poor thermal stability, which means whenever temperature increases, the circuit will enter into unstable condition. And we know that IC is equal to beta IB, which is already fixed. IC depends on beta. So whenever the beta value varies, we will have change in IC. So this will affect the operating point of the device. And the next point is adjusting the operating point over a wide range may be challenging with fixed bias. It limits its suitability for certain applications. And the next one is thermal runaway. So again, which means that whenever temperature increases, the collector current IC increases, which in turn increases the temperature. So this process is a cumulative process and this will lead to damage of BJT. And the last thing is limited temperature compensation leads to changes in bias point. So there are no compensation provided in this circuit so that easily the bias point will be shifted. So the next type of biasing is collector biased circuit. So in this we are connecting the feedback resistor RB between the base of the transistor and the collector of the transistor. So this circuit is somewhat more stable when compared to the fixed bias circuit. But even though according to the values of RB and RC, the stability will be affected. For better stability, we should have lower value of RB and higher value of RC. But even in the cases of tuned circuit or transformer coupled circuits, it is not possible to have higher values of RC. So that in such cases we have to go for some other method of biasing. Now let us look into the advantages and disadvantages of collector to base bias circuit. So the advantages are this circuit is simple. It provides some stabilization of operating point and it needs only one resistor at the base so that the number of components are lesser, and it has reduced sensitivity to transistor variations, and it has less sensitivity to power supply changes. And the disadvantages of this circuit are it does not provide stabilization because its stability factor is high. So as I have already told you, whenever we are having lesser value of RC, stabilization is very poor. And it provides a negative feedback which reduces the gain of the amplifier. And the circuit depends mostly on component matching. and more complex in comparison to fixed bias circuit. So the design of the base to collector to base bias circuit is complex when compared to fixed bias circuit, and it is restricted to utilization in certain applications like transformer coupled circuits. So that to avoid these drawbacks, we have to go for some other method of biasing, which is self bias or voltage divider bias circuit, which is the most commonly used biasing method. So in this method, we are making two resistors to be connected from base to supply voltage and another from base to ground. And also we are having a emitter resistance Re, which is connected between emitter and the ground terminal, so that this circuit provide better stability. So now the advantages of this circuit are the collector current IC is almost independent of all the transistor parameters. So even though the transistor parameters are changed, the collector current IC is constant. So once IC is constant, the bias point is constant. And the next advantage is the resistor employed in the emitter provides better stabilization of the circuit. And the next thing is it provides flexibility in adjusting the operating point, and it is less sensitive to supply voltage changes. The drawbacks of this circuit are the signals tend to get mixed up, so that it requires more components, and due to the increased complexity it tends to be more expensive, and it leads to reduction in overall circuit efficiency, because since we are having many components, each component leads to power dissipation, which in turn increases the total power dissipation of the circuit. So it is necessary to provide heat sinks, and the circuit is dependent on component matching.